In the event of a fire, it's important to know the proper procedures to follow, because fire is fast. Blazing fast. In less than 30 seconds, a small flame can grow into a major fire. And guess what? That's not the time to start learning where the exit is. So crank your AC to high, because things are going to get hot as we learn how to identify different classes of fire, how to recognize hazardous conditions, and the appropriate actions to take before such conditions result in a fire emergency, and what to do in the event of an actual fire. We'll also examine several examples of fire and life safety hazards in the workplace. This may seem like a lot, but we'll do our best to keep you engaged throughout this entire module. We are dedicated to your ongoing safety. In addition to this training module, we conduct life safety audits, fire incident investigations, fire exit drills, fire safety inspections, hands-on fire extinguisher training, and other survival skills strategies. How does a fire start anyway? For a fire to occur, 3 elements are necessary. First, a fuel source. Fire needs something to burn, such as a solid, liquid, or gas. Second, an adequate oxygen supply. There needs to be a sufficient supply of oxygen to keep a fire burning. And third, heat or an ignition source, something to start the fire. When all 3 elements are present, they cause a chain reaction, which results in combustion, or otherwise known as fire. These can be remembered as the fire triangle. Not all fires are the same. In fact, there are 5 classes of fire, and each requires a specific extinguisher. Before using an extinguisher, be sure to take note of the classification on the label. Using the wrong type of extinguisher can be life-threatening. Portable fire extinguishers are extremely handy, but they should only be used against fires at their initial stages. Once the fire starts to grow, it's best to evacuate the building. Extinguishers should never be viewed as substitutes, but rather as complements to automatic fire detection and suppression systems, such as fire alarm systems, smoke and heat detectors, and fire sprinklers. Okay, so let's check out each class of fire and which extinguisher to use. A Class A fire consists of ordinary combustibles. A Class A fire extinguisher contains water to remove the heat from the fire by cooling it. A Class B fire occurs when flammable or combustible liquids ignite. A Class B fire extinguisher contains dry chemicals to smother the fire. A Class C fire involves energized electrical equipment. A Class C fire extinguisher contains an agent that is non-conductive, such as carbon dioxide. A Class D fire occurs when the fuel is a combustible metal. A Class D fire extinguisher contains dry powder to smother the fire. A Class K fire occurs when cooking oils and fats ignite, usually in commercial cooking areas such as restaurants and cafeterias. A Class K fire extinguisher contains a dry and/or wet chemical mixture, which forms a soapy foam to suppress the fire. Now it's time for the hot seat. Can you match the correct extinguisher to each class of fire? You can save lives every day by taking precautions in fire prevention. Let's look at each class of fire separately. To prevent a Class A fire, remove excess paper and debris from your workspace. Smoke only in designated areas outside of the building. And keep combustible materials in a covered metal container. To prevent a Class B fire, use materials in a well-ventilated area and keep them away from anything that may produce a spark. Properly store combustible or flammable liquids in sealed, spill-proof containers. Keep portable storage cans to less than 5 gallons. Outside storage should be at least 20 feet away from the building. A C fire, check all electrical equipment for old or worn wiring and for broken or damaged fittings. Report faulty equipment immediately to your supervisor or appropriate department. Wall outlets should not be overloaded. There should be no more than 1 heat-producing appliance plugged into an outlet. When working with extension cords, remember that they are for temporary use and not a substitute for permanent wiring. Ensure that they are not frayed or broken. Never run under carpets or rugs. hung on any fire protection equipment, such as fire hose cabinets, fire extinguishers, sprinkler heads and piping, smoke detectors, or fire alarm pull boxes, on or near exits, emergency or exit lights, or any other protective or operating feature provided. To prevent a Class D fire, always follow your department's safety policies if you work with metals such as magnesium, potassium, or sodium. To prevent a Class K fire, restaurants and cafeterias must ensure that their kitchen design and equipment adhere to the local building and fire codes. Also ensure that appropriate extinguishing agents are installed, and staff members are fully trained in how to respond to a fire. Be safe and be smart by preventing fires before they start. Don't let a fire catch you by surprise. Plan ahead. Thoroughly familiarize yourself with your work area, so if you are ever faced with a fire emergency, you know what to do and where to go. 1. Take note of exit locations and know at least 2 ways out. 2. Learn the locations of your fire extinguishers should you decide to fight the fire. 3. Locate fire alarm pull stations. These are critical for alerting the other occupants in the building. And 4. Know your department's plan for where to meet following an evacuation. Do not re-enter the building until authorized to do so by emergency responders. Don't be caught unprepared. Know what to do in the event of a fire. It is important to know how to react. Knowing what to do can mean the difference between life and death. 1. If the fire alarm is activated, evacuate the building immediately. 2. Never assume it's a drill. If you ignore a fire alarm, you could end up trapped inside a burning building. 3. Never use the elevator to get out of a burning building. Always use the stairs. You could become trapped inside an elevator, as many elevators stop working once the fire alarm is activated. 4. Know and follow your department's emergency action plan. Your plan may include assigning certain employees specific responsibilities, such as ensuring that everyone evacuates the building and assisting disabled individuals to areas of refuge. 5. All employees should know their escape routes and where to meet following a fire emergency. 6. And most importantly, stay calm. Here's a hot tip to remind you of what to do in the event of a fire emergency. RACE. RACE stands for Rescue, by assisting individuals with disabilities and others if it is safe to do so. Alert others around you by informing them there is a fire. Activate the nearest fire alarm and call 911 from a safe location. Confine, by closing doors behind you to inhibit the fire from spreading. Evacuate, by leaving the building immediately via the nearest exit when instructed. Do not use elevators. Do not re-enter the building until authorized by emergency responders. If you decide to use a fire extinguisher, remember, pass. Pull the safety pin from the handle. Aim at the base of the fire. Squeeze the trigger handle while holding the extinguisher upright. And sweep the extinguisher from side to side at the base of the fire. It is important to remember that fire extinguishers have a limited range and limited amount of extinguishing agent. They should not be used in any of the following situations. When you have not been properly trained. Misuse can be harmful to the situation and yourself. Or when the fire spreads beyond its immediate area. It could block your escape route. To recap, RACE stands for Rescue, Alert, Confine, and Evacuate. And PASS stands for Pull, Aim, Squeeze, and Sweep. When exiting a building, you may find your exit door equipped with a delayed egress locking system. This locking system prevents an exit door from opening immediately when egress is attempted in a non-emergency situation. In the event of a fire emergency, however, the locking system will automatically release upon activation of the building fire alarm, automatic sprinkler system, or loss of power. Now let's take a look at some examples of fire and life safety hazards in the workplace. Damaged electrical switch. Damaged electrical cords and outlets. Excessive piles of paper. Manual pull station blocked by plant. Exit access blocked by equipment. Used fire extinguisher on floor. Keep an eye out in your workplace. These hazards are more common than you may think. Now let's consider